Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we're boarding passengers seated in zones E and F at this time. Your zone number...
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Rhea. I am your host, and I'm very pleased to welcome back my co-host, Lee Harris from ATPI Travel. How are you this week, Lee?
I'm very good, thank you. Yep, all well. The UK weather is changing. It is getting a little bit colder, a little bit more autumnal. So, yeah, need to wrap up a little bit warmer, unfortunately, this week.
I'm actually glad because in Mallorca, we are experiencing the same thing. But when we say a little bit cooler, we just mean that it's tolerable to wear clothes.
Yeah. It's still probably mid-20s for you, isn't it?
Yes. But to be absolutely fair, as a Canadian, I tend to leave my windows and doors open all year here in Mallorca. So
yeah, all right for some. You keep rubbing it in.
I will.
Yeah. I'm not used to this, am I? This is the problem. I'm not used to it. I've not had 6 years of this coldness. I'm not used to it. My bones are not used to it.
Do you know what? I have been in Mallorca now on and off for 20 some odd years. And I know because I'm planning on moving back to Canada, hopefully within the next year. But I can tell you now that I'm going to be dying, literally dying for at least the first 5 years that I'm there.
Yeah. You're going to look cool in your snow boots.
Yes. Yeah, I remember the last time that I was there. Literally, you would have a shower to take the kids to school. And the minute you walked out the door, your hair would freeze solid.
Yeah. Is it one of the ones where I've seen on various social media where you pour the water and by the time it even hits the floor, it's frozen? Cool.
Yeah, it was, I think, the last time that I went home, I stayed for 8 months. And within, I think, a week of me getting there, it hit minus 30. And it stayed that way. And they were all excited when it warmed up to minus 20.
Holy. Yeah, no, I don't think I could survive.
No. So I'm going to be like a bear and I'm going to get really fat in the summertime and hibernate during the wintertime.
It sounds like the perfect life.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, the world of travel. Let's head on over to Air Canada. Sounds like they're going to avoid a strike.
They are, yeah. So with Air Canada announcing that it has reached a tentative 4-year collective agreement with the Airline Pilots Association, which represents over 5,200 pilots working for the airline and its subsidiary Air Canada Rouge, the imminent pilot strike, which the airline and passengers were dreading, has likely been avoided. Though the tentative deal has been approved by the ALPA, the details of the new agreement are still confidential. That's because it requires a ratification vote by the members. The airline, in its statement, stated that both its mainline operations and Air Canada Rouge services will continue normal operations, thus indicating a positive outlook. Now, while a strike appears to have been averted in Canada, the same cannot be said for the US. Earlier this week, thousands of workers at Boeing voted to go on strike after 94% of the employees rejected the manufacturer's proposed new contract. As such, 96% of 33,000 employees voted to go on strike. Now, if an agreement is not found in time, aircraft production rates will be significantly hit, meaning airlines will also face the brunt with new aircraft not being delivered on time, thus potentially throwing airline schedules out of the window.
There's always a strike somewhere in the world, and it usually happens when we're in the middle of peak travel season.
Indeed, yeah. And it now goes to show it's not just the airlines and the airports, it's also the manufacturers of the aircraft as well. So, yeah, if the production's not there, then the airlines are not getting their new craft, meaning their schedules go to pot.
We're seeing it straight across the face of the planet. The cost of living is rising, inflation is rising, and people are suffering. And when you see any of the election coverage anywhere in the world right now, that is the one main thing that is on everybody's mind, is the same value of their money that was even last year is not buying them the same purchasing power as it is, and it would have been today. And that's unfortunate because that is sometimes the difference between having light on in your house or water in your house and not at all.
Exactly right. Yeah. A lot of people are struggling at the moment, aren't they?
Moving on to the UK government. They've got a bit of news concerning airline travel.
Yeah, so the UK government has set out new implementation dates for its electronic travel authorization scheme, which is also known as the ETA. Visitors coming to the UK, obviously except British and Irish citizens, will need permission to travel through an ETA costing £10 or an e-visa. From November the 27th, eligible non-Europeans can apply for an ETA and will need an ETA to travel from January 8th, 2025. ETAs will then extend to eligible Europeans from March the 5th, 2025, who will also need an ETA to travel from April the 2nd, 2025. Now, a statement from the government said ETAs are digitally linked to a traveller's passport and ensure more robust security checks are carried out before people begin their journeys to the UK. This is to help to prevent abuse of our immigration system. Now, an ETA costs £10 and permits multiple journeys to the UK for stays of up to 6 months at a time, and that being over a 2-year period or until the holder's passport expires, whichever is sooner. Now, applications for an ETA can either be done online or via the UK ETA app, which is live now.
It's going both ways now. Whenever you go to Europe, you've got to make sure you've got all that paperwork done. And now it's same the other way around. If you're going into the UK, you've got to make sure that you've got all that.
Yeah, I think
done.
it's just becoming worldwide. It is. The US had it since 9/11. Same for Canada. The UK are now bringing it in. Europe and the Schengen zone are bringing it in. New Zealand have it. Australia have it. So pretty much any country that you're going to travel to nowadays, you need to remember that you need to get an ESTA or an ESTA or whatever the relevant country calls it. So it's very important for people to check.
Definitely. And United Airlines has some news.
Yeah, so United Airlines are planning to offer free in-flight Wi-Fi to passengers from next year by signing up to Elon Musk's SpaceX Starlink internet service. Now, Starlink is expected to be deployed on more than 1,000 aircraft in the fleet over the next few years. Testing starts in early 2025, with the first availability on passenger flights expected soon after. Now, it is the largest airline across both the Atlantic and Pacific and claims to be the first carrier in the world to commit to offering Starlink services at this scale. Now, Starlink claims its low Earth orbit satellites deliver stable, reliable, high-speed, low-latency internet and boost reliability over oceans and other remote areas previously unreachable by traditional mobile or Wi-Fi signals.
Elon Musk is doing really well. It sounds like he's going to be giving Taylor Swift a baby and looking after her cat as well.
There you go. How about that?
He's just everywhere now, isn't he?
Isn't he? He's the man.
Wow. Moving on to British Airways.
Yeah, so as we get closer to the Caribbean season, British Airways, in a timely move for crew looking for flights from Europe, have announced increases in flights to 6 US and Canadian cities this past week. Now, Miami, a popular gateway with crew, will be getting an extra 7 flights a week. The carrier's route to Austin, Texas, will also be seeing an increase of 6 extra flights a week. Meanwhile, Las Vegas will gain an extra 3 flights, which will always be handy for any crew who want to stop off for a sneaky little bet. Whilst Pittsburgh will gain 1 extra flight and Washington will see an extra 7. And finally, for Canada, Vancouver will double in flights, going from 7 a week to 14 a week. British Airways have said that they will be operating more than 400 non-stop flights per week to the US, Canada and Mexico, which can obviously only be good news for crew for the Caribbean season.
And for me when I go home.
And for you as well, yeah.
I remember the last trip that I took, well, from here, there, and then back again. It was 24 hours and I had 2 kids in tow. So it was one hop to here and to there, and then, good 8-10 hours in between. And yeah, it's a long haul. It's a long journey to Canada from Europe.
It is when you've got kids in tow. Every journey is long when you've got kids in tow, to be fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was glad for the length of that journey because on the way back, my son forgot his Nintendo on board. So we had a good 8-hour wait. So because of that, we were able to recover that Nintendo. But if we had a carry-on, I can imagine that would have been just disappeared, guaranteed.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And we haven't had any crew questions as of late. So for all crew out there, if you do have a travel question that Lee can answer for you, we'll provide all of Lee's details below this interview when it airs. So please feel free to drop us a line. And if it's even more urgent and you need him to answer it right away, Lee is always there to answer any travel-related question that you may have. Lee, I want to say thank you again so much for your time.
Always a pleasure. Looking forward to next week.
Of course you are. If you show up next week, but
I'll be here. You cancelled on me last week.
Actually, that's not entirely correct, but nice try.
I think it was. We'll just say that anyway. It's fine.
No, it's because you canceled 2 days in a row and then I just said no.
I didn't cancel 2 days in a row. I think I cancelled the first day. You cancelled the second day. Let's just say it's a draw.
That's all right. We will be back next week. And even if Lee's not, I'm just going to come on here and make fun of Lee for a good 15 minutes, and that'll take care of the travel show.
That sounds like fun.
Will be for me. Not so sure about you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you again next week. You've been watching another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Rhea. I have been your host. And on behalf of Lee and I, thank you.